So as the storm of the century rages outside and Leanne is all alone in the house, her park hobo cult, they've all scattered and she's all alone, her versus the Turners with George on the side, and it all comes to a giant climax. And after a full season of hype and anticipation, we finally see George's plan for taking out Leanne come into full form and we get the end game of it all, and it's not a good plan. It's an insane plan. It's a risky plan, and he just seems to have had so much time to come up with this plan, and then after spending an entire episode tricking Sean and Julian to make them more emboldened to grab Leanne, which they did with a comical amount of ease. Like, they just grabbed her, hit her head against the wall, accidentally, sure, but then they just like, boom, she's in the basement, she's in the tunnels. Well, that was actually pretty easy. I guess she is just a teenage girl when it comes down to it. And they leave her alone with George, and George is like, finally, after all these years of planning, I finally got her where I want her, and I'm going to untie her, give her a very sharp, pointy knife, make it hot, make it scalding hot, very hot, it was all fiery or whatever, give that knife to her, tell her to kill herself, just hope she's cool with that. Don't even really do much of a pep talk. I was expecting a big rousing speech about why she needs to do this, why she's been led down the wrong path, all these things, and he kind of half-asses it for like 5 seconds, but he essentially is just like, I don't know, could you really just do me a solid and just like kill yourself? I mean, you've not indicated in any way that you will, are going to do this, but here's a giant knife, and also you're a sinner and you suck, so you should probably kill yourself, right? How do you think this was gonna go? I really thought if George was going to be killed by Leanne, I would feel more emotionally than just kind of like, yeah, well, of course that was going to happen, George. Why did you think this was going to go any other way? Like, from all the things we've seen for the whole show, like, you've grabbed her, you've kidnapped her, you've turned the whole house against her, you've made them kidnap her, and now finally, after like weeks and weeks and weeks of trying to get her out of the house, they finally somehow, in a comically quick scene, just grabbed her, chucked her down here, and now you're like, we're finally here. And instead of maybe trying to find some other super powerful thing or some kind of loophole, I don't know, something, the law of this show means that I can't do it, no one can do it, you've got to do it yourself. And instead of being like, well, maybe we'll trap her, like if you can't kill a vampire, you trap him in a coffin, drown him in the ocean or something, just lock him down there. And we haven't killed them, but they're out of the way, they can't get out of the box. Immortality, you can kind of use it against someone. But no, let's make sure we actually kill her and give her a knife. And he's just like even if he was across from the room and like she got up and he's like, whoa, hey, are you using that knife on you? Not on me. But he's like an inch from her face, like the spit from his like the tears were dripping off his cheeks and hitting her. Like she would have been able to smell his breath. They were so close to it. And he's got awful breath. Like that man does not floss. He does not chew gum. He doesn't look like he brushes his teeth at all. The man really his hygiene is, it's upsetting to think about. Like really, like I presume you haven't thought about his hygiene and how much he flosses or brushes, but I have, and it's not enough. And so she kills George. Uncle George is dead. And I hate to say it because I do love this series and I've loved what they've done with most of this season, but I found this to be kind of insanely underwhelming in just a way where I'm like it was a little shocking when she did it, but mostly just because like the visual of it was quite intense. Like the bit of the mouth's open and the hot embry knife was like there, like you could see it, and I was like, oh, that's a cool, horrifying visual. I like that we didn't see her kill the others, and it kind of leaves it up to your imagination of how messy and brutal it got. And then she's got a bit of a two-face, blood on one side, no blood on the other side kind of situation going, and her performance is great. Like, I think what is stopping me from finding moments I don't love in this series from being like bad or just like not as what I wanted is just the performances are spectacular. Like, she is killing it as Leanne. Her actor name here, I'm actually quite pressed for time, so I probably didn't put the actor's name here, but you know her name. It's even after all that pause, I couldn't remember it. She played Marcella, second Marcella in Game of Thrones. Yeah, you didn't remember that season either? Yeah, we all tried to black it out. She was part of that Dornish storyline. Yeah, I apologize for even bringing it up, really. That's It's not cool on my behalf. I'm super curious how people found this kind of death scene, like super underwhelming, kind of fitting, shocking. Like, I don't know, how did this play for people? Because I'm really kind of split on how I feel like people are going to be, because on one hand, it's just kind of shocking to see Leanne go so brutal and kill everybody, but it's also the third last episode of the series. Like, when it's the end part of the final season, like when those last couple of episodes, I'm never as shocked when like kind of side characters die. Like, it's kind of like, yeah, well, we've got to like, you know, get rid of all these kind of superfluous side characters so we can focus on our main characters in those last couple of episodes and really focus in on what the show has been about the whole time. And that is what I really liked about the end of the episode, where it's just Leanne and Dorothy just sitting there alone in the house. And it had that really great feeling of like, okay, now we're focused really in on what the show's been about from the start. Leanne, Dorothy, Jericho in the middle. How's it gonna end? At this point, I like, they can't kill Leanne. Like, Leanne has to kill herself, so Leanne can't lose. Or I don't know. I really don't like this kind of lore they've created where Leanne is so powerful she can't die. Like, no one can kill her. Or does George just think that because he's a crazy cult guy? Like, is he just got this kind of delusion in his mind that she can't be killed? Like, if he just stabbed her, like, what? Like, couldn't he have just grabbed that knife and just chopped her head off? Like, what's she gonna do? Like, would the knife bounce off? Like, I don't... Like, what do you think was gonna happen? He could have at least tried, right? I also very, very much enjoyed Sean and Julian getting taken out by Leanne, because I really, really found it shockingly, comically easy for them to just grab her. Like, he's like, hey, come down to the basement for sinister reasons. And he doesn't even make up a good reason. He's like, come down and I need to show you something. And then she's like, no, this is sus. No. And then he's like, Sean! And he like grabs her, and there's a little, like, I don't know. It's like they didn't have any kind of plan. They didn't even have chloroform or this and that. But then they accidentally bumped her head, and it's like, oh, well, guess the magic supernatural lady. It's like, she acted like what they thought she is, which is just like a teenage girl who's a stalker and like a bit crazy. Whereas she didn't like act like the supernatural witch demon lady that we know she is. I don't know, just so weird. So I do love that, like, once she came up and she went full Terminator after killing George and his disciple cult buddies or whatever, she's like, nah, alright, okay. I have been buried alive. I've been tried to be evicted from this house by cult members and this and that. I've gone through a lot at this point. I'm just going to fight back now, and I'm going to get them out of the house. But also, I feel like it's kind of interesting that she didn't, like, just kill them. Like, she, like, kind of magically burst the window open with the wind or whatever. Sean accidentally stabs himself. But she could have just grabbed that knife and then stabbed him again. But she's kind of like, I'll get you out of this house. Like, you're not coming back into this house. But also, there's, like, something deep inside her that she still kind of loves them, I guess, enough to not kill them. Or it's bad writing and they just can't kill them because they need to come back in the finale after an episode of Leanne vs. Dorothy. It's you could read it either way. I also love the way she got rid of Julian, like pushing him down the stairs. Like, as soon as he fell, I'm like, oh my god, like sister, like brother, that both siblings are gonna have broken backs. Like, that's so fitting. And then he just kind of stands up and he's like, ha ha, we tricked you, audience, ha ha ha. And it's like, oh, they got me. I totally thought his back was going to be screwed up. But then he gets destroyed by a symbolic wall that is literally a wall of wine, and he gets destroyed by his alcoholism, or I don't know, something, a metaphor or whatever. I liked it. I was like, ha ha, that's funny. I see what they did there. I see you, servant. Now I'm thinking about it. Is that really dumb and stupid? I liked it, but once again, like the other thing, you could probably read it both ways. I also love the bit where Dorothy's just crawling along the ground and she's not able to walk. Like, she has that shower and we get that psycho shot where it's like, yeah, this is like inspired by Hitchcock in some ways. And I thought, like, oh, is there going to be like a shower kill sequence kind of thing? But obviously Dorothy won't die, but there'll be some kind of attempted thing because they had the exact same kind of shower head shot from Psycho. But it ends up just being that she's like a little bit wet from the shower and she slips and falls. I feel like maybe throughout this season they haven't kind of gone as hard as I thought they might early on, like from season 3 finale, thinking about the final season before it came out. I was like, oh man, it's going to be like Misery style the whole time. Like, she's going to be in bed with like this person who's like an admirer, like a stalker, whatever. But like, it's like this weird kind of relationship. But they haven't really gone as hard. Like, I feel like early this season, maybe it's good they haven't kind of, oversaturated us with that kind of idea. But it was kind of cool to see, like, she literally cannot walk no matter how hard she tries. So she's just, like, crawling. And it's like, that's what I want to see. I want them to really embrace the fact that she can't walk. Like, I don't know, there was a bit where she, like, closes the door, is walking with the old lady kind of, walking stick kind of situation. I don't know, just she's healed so quickly. And I guess that's so that she can stand up for some of this verses we're going to get with Leanne, with Dorothy in the final episodes. But I also just really like the dynamic of, like, Leanne getting such an upper hand on her. It kind of makes it more scary and horrifying from Dorothy's point of view. And considering how, like, villainous and how much of a bad guy they've made Leanne, and only in this final season, I feel like she's not been a villain in the show. And now they're just like, oh, wait, oh, God. Oh, people don't think she's the bad guy, but we're going to end it where she's the bad guy. We better really push this. And I don't know how I feel about this. Like, on one hand, I'm like, okay, well, it's the show, and I'm enjoying the show enough, and the performances are really good, the music, the storytelling, not the storytelling necessarily, but, like, every other filmic element in the show is working so well for me that some of the story beats I feel like I'm a bit more kind of forgiving of, just because, like, I just love the atmosphere and the mood of this series. But I'm curious how people are finding this, because, like, especially this episode where Leanne goes full Terminator, she, like, doesn't stab Sean, but she makes magic wind stab, make him fall back and stab himself. And she pushes Julian down the stairs, and she just kind of waves them by, being like, you're out of here, boys. And now it's the ladies' time. But she's become so villainous. I don't know. I wonder if they could have made it more nuanced, where it's like, I don't know, because I really enjoyed how Dorothy found her so villainous. But, like, as you're watching, like, oh, Dorothy's kind of in the wrong. And it makes it really hard to kind of root for either one of them. Whereas now, despite the whole family, all the Turners, and what they let happen to Jericho before the show started, it's really like the Turners have become the good guys. But I don't know if it's been done in such a clever way, like, say, in a Game of Thrones, where you start with the Lannisters, the bad guys, and over time you're like, maybe they're not so bad. But they're never positioned as good guys. It's just, like, super morally grey. Whereas I feel like in this, making Leanne so evil, and the way they've positioned her, like, doing things, and the way she just, like, is cackling and torturing children at Halloween and laughing at the rain or whatever. I don't know, it just feels like it's so kind of, they're making it so black and white. Whereas I wonder if maybe they shouldn't have made it so black and white and make it a bit grey or whatever. So I've been thinking this more and more the closer and closer we get to the end. And I now think that, like, we've only got 2 episodes left and there's so much more to do. I really don't think that we're going to be getting those kind of explanations and answers that I think a lot of people... And I think I also wanted this at a certain point, but I don't know if I do anymore, because I feel like they've had enough kind of hints and, like, vague kind of implications, and, like, I think it is the Faustian deal. I think that's what she is. Like, it's some type of Faustian deal. I think I'm saying that right. I'll put it here if I'm not, or I won't. And especially since we had a full fake-out revelation reveal kind of explanation episode, the big old M. Night Shyamalan twist where they're like, it's this, she's not magic or whatever. I think by doing that whole episode, then he's like, I was lying, whip, whip, I was lying, whip. I think it's like them just being like, it's the opposite of that. It's all magic, it's all craziness. They made a deal with some kind of demon devil thingy, whatever, and she's back. She's a fallen angel, she's this, she's that. And I think that's all we're going to get. So I wonder if people are going to be super disappointed that there's not just like a moment where we sit down like we did in episode 7 and they go, this is the deal, this is what is up. And I think just that moment of them being like, confirmed, she's magic, it's all trippy, weird, supernatural voodoo, whatever, however you want to say it. It's that. I mean, does it need to be any more? And do we even want them to explain it more? Because it might just be a bit weird. And is there even time to explain it? Because I need them to focus on Leanne versus Dorothy. Like, we're going to get all episode 9, those 2 ladies versing off, and then, and if this doesn't happen till the finale, I don't know what I'll do. I'll be very sad. I'll die a little inside, but, like, hopefully halfway through next epi, Leanne is just like, hey, this is Magic Jericho. I brought him back to life, and she, like, I don't know, picks him up, throws him against the wall, and when it hits the wall, it's the doll. Or something, I don't know, not that, but something else. And then Dorothy can be like, oh my god, and have the big moment of the thing, and give, oh my god, please give us more than just one full episode where Dorothy, our main character, can, like, live with the knowledge of what she did, that the whole series has been about, because otherwise I just, the wasted potential. It's gonna frustrate me. Yeah, I am so sure this finale is not going to give me what I want it to give me. But also, maybe it will. Stay positive, guys. Stay positive, guys. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment below. I'd love to know what everyone thought of this episode of Servant.